Caitlin. I work at Booksync in Palo Alto. I'm just here today to show you a few of my favorite books. I'm also going to be at your book fairs in the fall, so hopefully I'll meet some of you at your schools. But just starting from youngest, one of my favorite books for the little ones is Brown Bear, What Do You See? By Bill Martin. This is a classic. Probably already know about it, but I like it because it's really fun to read to little kids who, especially kids who are just kind of starting to learn how to talk, because it's a fun way to kind of practice, you know, identifying colors and animals and other simple concepts like that. I've read this to my niece and my nephew like 10,000 times, and they never get tired of it. So this one's a big hit for me. I love it. A little bit older, this picture book, Llama Llama, Mrs. Mama by Anna Dudney. I really like all of the Llama Llama books. I think they're really sweet. They're pretty simple, colorful pictures. They rhyme, so they're really fun to read out loud. And I think the reason I like these the most is that I think this little llama is actually really easy for kids to identify with. He's pretty relatable, you know. He misses his mom sometimes, he gets mad at his mom sometimes, he doesn't want to go to bed sometimes, he's homesick, you know. These are situations that all little kids kind of like can relate to, I think. Also a big hit with the niece and nephew. For a little bit older kids who are just starting to read on their own, I really like the Little Bear series of early reader books. These are just really sweet stories about a bear and his little woodland friends, and they're illustrated by the late Maurice Sendak, who's amazing. And yeah, they're good for kids who are learning to read on their own. The print is large, not too many words on each page, so they're not overwhelming. Really good, like, transition books into early reader, I feel. One of my, moving on to middle grade books, one of my all-time favorites is Bunnicula. This whole series by James Howe, it's about a vegetarian vampire bunny. And I read these with my mom when I was really young, and I loved them so much I went back and I read them all like 100 times each. They had different covers when I owned them. I think these covers make them look kind of scary, but they're not scary at all. They're actually really funny. And I don't know, I think I like them so much because I didn't really care for books that much. I was pretty indifferent at the time. My mom bought these for me, but I loved anything to do with animals, so this series really just kind of resonated with me. And yeah, I remember my copy it said something like over 1 million copies in print or something, and I thought that meant that there were 1 million titles in the series, and I kind of freaked out because I was like, how am I going to be able to read these all, you know? But no, there's only like 7, I think, so it's totally doable. But yeah, I like to recommend this to kids who, they've read the Magic Tree House and the early reader chapter books, but maybe kids who are kind of reluctant to transition to like longer chapter books. This is a really good kind of early middle reader book. So, and I'm really glad it's still in print. Another great middle reader book, appropriate for older kids, The Evolution of Calpurnia Tate. This won a Newbery a few years ago, and I actually just read it, but I really loved it. It's historical fiction, so that's kind of right up my alley. It takes place at the turn of the last century. Calpurnia lives out in the country with her big family. She's the only girl, and as the only girl, she's expected to learn how to cook and clean and sew and all of that. And she's not really into it. She's more interested in science and exploring and nature, and she finds a really fantastic mentor in her grandfather. They have a really sweet relationship, and my favorite thing about this book is Callie is just a really strong, smart female character who knows what she wants, and when I was reading this type of book as a kid, I thought it was kind of hard to find a good female character like that. So I really, really love this book. And my favorite young adult book of the moment is The Fault in Our Stars, the new one by John Green. I actually just read this like 2 days ago, but it's like my new favorite book. This might be random, but when I was younger, I was completely obsessed with these books by an author named Lurleen McDaniel. And
no, it's okay.
They were just these ridiculous, over-the-top books about, usually about teenagers who like fall madly in love and then die tragically. And for some reason, I just couldn't get enough of these books. And but you know, I think teenagers are thinking about big questions like this, like life and death and love, and this book does that really well. It's about two teenagers who meet in a support group for terminal cancer patients. So you kind of see where that's going, but I was just like immediately impressed right off the bat with how well written it was. It's just a really lovely book, and I expected, given the subject matter, that it would be kind of like overwrought or sappy, which it's not at all. It's a really good balance of like melancholy and uplifting, and I wish it existed when I was in my Lurleen McDaniel phase, because this is probably what I was like looking for. But in any case, I'm glad it exists now, so I can tell everybody to read it. And that's it. Thanks for listening.